Siena, surrounded by olive trees and beautiful vineyards of the Chianti, is one of the most beautiful cities in Tuscany. Built on top of 3 hills, the city is crossed by wide avenues and narrow alleys, which lead to the heart of the city, Piazza del Campo. The Duomo and the monumental complex of Santa Maria della Scala are built on the Via Francigena. It was established by clerics of the Duomo to assist sick, as shelters of poor, as care of abandoned children. The city is famous for the Palio, the historical horse race, which is held every year on July the 2nd in honor of Our Lady of Provenzano, and on August the 16th in honor of Our Lady of Assumption, patron saint of Siena and the state. The Palio is a competition between the Contrada of Siena in the form of an equestrian carousel of medieval origin. The highlight of the festival is the ceremony of offering candles and censuses in the cathedral, a religious and political ceremony, an act of devotion to the Madonna of the Sienese and of submissions to the regents of the Comune of Siena. Siena is also one of the oldest universities in Europe. The university is rich in history from the Middle Ages. The first document goes back to a decree podestarile of December 26, 1240, which reveals the particular legal model of the Siena University, which was not based on the enterprise of students as in Bologna, nor on the administration of teachers as in Paris, but on the organization of the municipality. Citizens who rented accommodation to students had to pay a fee, which was used to pay teachers. An notary deed of the mid-13th century informs us that there was also a grammar school and a medical school as well as a legal school. In that context, the European Association International Studies AESI of Rome, in collaboration with the representation of the European Commission in Italy and with the collaboration of the rector of University of Siena, organized a seminar about the role of cooperation between diplomacy to promote peace processes and international policies both of the European Union but also of the country in terms of reconciliation, integration and promotion of the culture of solidarity. That mismatch of diplomacy and university is fundamental to study and to enhance a new strategy of international politics. For this reason, AESI, together with its students, has also invited rectors from other countries, such as the rector of the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, the rector of St. Petersburg Russian Federation, as well as the rectors of Palermo and Napoli First Orientale. The Deputy Director to the representation of the European Commission in Italy and the Director General for Development Cooperation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also met with them.
Dear Rector of University of Siena, dear friends, rectors of Europe, St. Petersburg universities, Gothenburg universities, and Italian universities here present, Naples, Orientale, and Palermo. Dear ambassadors, dear friends, dear representative of the Italian Foreign Ministry, Director General of Italian Cooperation and Director of Representation of European Union. Why we are here? Why AESI, European Association of International Studies, promote this event? While our country, Italy, and most of the countries of the European Union passing through a very difficult time. Difficult time of identity, difficult time of unity, difficult time of future. In one word, difficult time of solidarity.
A clear example is the great experience of AESI in the Balkans after the Dayton Accords that fostered, through university courses, the collaboration between institutions that had never come into contact with each other, as can be the military peace forces who have their task in the field of security, and of the UN diplomatic representatives with activities of a more social and political nature. These realities, these triangulations between university and the military contingents such as the UNIFIL and the UNSO realities that are UN contingents, to facilitate dialogue between the Israeli and Palestinian world and between Lebanon, Syria, with activities to support university courses that even see countries in conflict with each other. The strategy is not to use skills only for themselves, but to put them together with a system that becomes a new action for international crises, creating officers which are able to dialogue with these realities on the ground. Moreover, the Siena event is part of a series of meetings that AESI is organized with the Italian representation of the European Commission in Italy and will soon be attended by professors, international officials and diplomats in Turin, Milan, Naples and Palermo.
In recent years, universities have assumed a growing role in linking the educational aspects with the society. Universities have the fantastic opportunity of working with students, with young people, and they can provide these young people with the notion that society must be inclusive, that societies do not have to have barriers, and that science and culture can provide an opportunity to overcome barriers across countries. Education is the fantastic opportunity of producing a more inclusive society around the world.
Sweden is a country that since a very long time has been part in discussions between countries or regions that are in conflict. Right now we are also in the United Nations Security Council, and the diplomacy in Sweden has always been to see the other side and to understand how people with different views can still try to cooperate, at least in as civic manner as possible. In this, the academia, the Swedish universities, are also a partner, although we are completely independent from the diplomacy. Of course, if our government tells us not to cooperate with a certain region or with a certain country, we obliged to that. But that never or rarely happens. Sometimes it's easier for us as academic institutions to be able to reach out to the civic society in regions and countries that are at conflict. And here we have seen many times how this works, both in the Middle East, when it comes to conflicts in Syria, when it comes to conflicts and difficulties between Israeli and Palestinian society. Academia can always speak to academia, both with Palestinians, both with Israelis, and the Swedish institutions are part of this.
We have very good perspectives because we start our work more than 3 years ago. During this time we have good understanding. We did big work together. Now we organize seminars, small and big round tables between my university and AESI, and I think that the main that we start it's discussions and meetings between our students, because we well know that they will create the future of the world, the future of relationship between Russia and European Union. And of course, students, they should know each other, they should elaborate common approach to the very difficult problems which now we have in the world. I'm sure absolutely that our cooperation in common research, in to create a new approach for global problems. It's our future. For me and for my colleagues, it's more important that all students from Italian, European and Russian part, they are very motivated, very energetic. They would like to learn more about our history, about modern relationship, and they would like to be involved in the process of creating a new relationship in between European Union and Russia.
The Italian development cooperation has always worked very well with the universities. We have had a permanent dialogue. Now I would say that after the reform of the Italian development cooperation, we want this dialogue to become more permanent, more constructive, and we need a university. The Italian development cooperation has to take into account the important role of the civil society as a whole, and universities are a very important actor. They are important for contributing to build a vision in the construction of governance in our partner countries, in capacity building, institutional building, in training programs, transfer of technology, and this is our aim. University will be a fundamental partner for the achievement of the SDGs of Agenda 2030.
The representation in Italy of the European Commission plays the important role of filling the gap which exists between the countries and the headquarters of the Commission, which are based in Brussels. Sometimes they are perceived a bit distant institution, and that's why it's very important that we have this presence on the territory in order to link between the communication of the policies and the programs of the Commission to citizens who live in Italy. In our action, we also very much rely on the network of Europe Direct Centers, which exists on different regions in Italy, and thanks to their action, which is more specific in the different parts of Italy, we reach out to the different citizens, informing them and getting also their feedback on how we can improve our action and our programs.
I think that university should cooperate for building a stronger relationship with foreign countries and for fostering projects that can help foreign countries in difficulties to develop their economies. And I strongly believe also in the cultural diplomacy. So I think that one role could also be to help these countries to develop, to increase the potential of their cultural heritage. And maybe also help people living in Europe to better understand what is going on outside Europe.
I mean, I think that university cooperation, generally speaking, university is really in the middle channel, right? Just because there are a very great challenge between the globalization perspective in terms of macro-regional uniformation, of use, of content, of purpose of university, of purpose of educational purpose of university, and the respect of multiculturalism inside the European Union. So I think that is a sort of crisis in terms of, in a terminological meaning, right? That we need changing to some extent. We need changing in terms of change of program, finding out common ground for education, but also finding out a sort of common core in terms of education.
I would say that AESI nurtures itself of the notion of the importance of the human person. And it is not always said openly, but it is at the very basis of our common sentiment. And I believe that the generations of young people, young students who have come and gone through AESI seminars, in a way, even when they have just left to enter their professional life, they will always retain that message, which I repeat is based on the importance of the value of the person and in a larger way of our Christian heritage.
My conviction is that these kind of meetings are very much in line with Secretary General's, UN Secretary General Guterres' idea of a peace continuum. Peace is not just fixing what has been destroyed by war or conflict. Peace, in the sense Secretary General Guterres wants to promote the value, is contributing to avoiding escalations through a number of actions, mostly based on prevention. And prevention also means that people have to know each other. You have to know even your opponent, because in many cases conflicts come out of non-reciprocal knowledge, of bias, of prejudices. It's a way to diffuse prejudice. And this is why I feel honored to contribute to this high-level event.
In some way, we can say that Europe is the key place for this peace process that is going on now on still at the end of the Second World War. Is the peace is the center of United Nations, is the core of United Nations Charter and of United Nations values, and Europe is certainly giving strong support to it. But at the moment, we should say that we can check a double feeling. In universities, competition that is prevailing more on solidarity, on cooperation. And even the research program of European Union are based on it, competition between group of research, competition between countries, and the European Union, the research area of the European Union is start to become a sort of, how to say, a man in black, the referee of this game, where unfortunately competition is the most important value.
Question is very, very positive, and I thank you very much, you Mogherini, for this. Please, it's the second time I met you. Is a real appeal to the President of European Institute and you. We need to develop the dialogue among the crisis, the young generation in the crisis conflicts, and support who likes to do peace. Thank you very much.
Very good point, thank you. Point taken, but perfectly agreeing with you. You mentioned the link between the work in universities, younger generations, and conflict prevention and conflict management. This is exactly the spirit with which we are working all around the world.
Students have indeed an important role in international cooperation. The exchange of experiences, ideas, cultures between the leaders of tomorrow will definitely contribute to the strengthening of the relationships between states and organizations. At AESI, we organize several missions. For example, I had the chance to participate to the ones in Geneva and Paris. Priceless experiences.
In my opinion, in this particular period of international crisis, it's necessary to involve the students in managing cooperation processes in order to create a new international strategy. For this reason, activities as Rome International Seminar play an important role in developing a link between diplomatic, academic worlds and students.
As regards cooperation, I believe the students should be aware of the importance of it, not only at the national level, but also at the European and international background. This is why AESI is trying to build a new way of thinking a solidar university.
We organize this meeting not to celebrate some things, not to promote, how to promote our association or international organization or university. We would like to underline the importance to start a real change in different institutions, starting from the universities. Universities has a big responsibility to prepare the future generation. Future generation means experts, diplomats, experts in the international organization, the United Nations, and the European Union. We are speaking about renovation, changing of the European Union, reform of the United Nations. So many challenges are collected in this perspective of this seminar. What we like to underline at the end of this seminar, we started something concrete for a real change. But it's not sufficient to promote a real change only. We have contents, respect of human dignity, human rights, and to prepare a good diplomat, good international experts. So step by step, putting together diplomats, professors, and representatives of the international actors, we are changing the strategy of formation, of training of this future generation. More concerned to the needs of the society, more concerned to the risks that we are passing through in this time. So I think that the future of this effort will be very important to involve this institution with the universities.